Welcome to Mind Over Matter, the mental game of student athletes. My name is John. I have Glory and Robbie with me today. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Hi everyone, my name is Glory. I'm currently a senior, major in sociology and psychology. I'm also a track and field athlete. I've been running track for the past 8 years. So I started when I was in high school, and ever since I've loved the sport.
Hi everyone, I'm Robbie. I play football at Union. I'm a econ and sociology major, and I guess that's it for now.
How you guys' terms been going so far?
The term, honestly, it's senior
spring.
spring. I've been having a lot of fun times just sleeping. Really, I feel like I've learned the importance of like just mindfulness and stillness and just spending time with myself. It's like the last term before I go to the real world, and I feel like it's really important to just like get to know myself a lot more and just do things that are gonna make me happy. So school is like really non-existent right now.
No, that's fair.
It's more about me.
Yeah, good. That's glad.
Yeah, for me, it's just been like very busy. I've been all over the place. Like a couple weeks ago, I went to a leadership conference, so I was doing that, and then that kind of made me take a step away from school, so I went behind in my work, and then now I'm trying to catch up. Then football is starting, so it's just a whole lot of different things. So I'm like in that place where I gotta manage my work, but in a couple weeks I'll be straight.
There you go. Yeah, you just gotta take your time.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to get into is what's one moment of challenge or hidden struggle that stands out to you in your life? Are you navigating it? How'd you navigate it? Did you learn anything about yourself?
That's a good question. Because we're talking about sport, I think I'm gonna relate it back to sports. But
yeah, it can be about anything.
I feel like the very first challenge for me with like athletics was when I got to college. I would say that as a eighth, ninth grader, like you're not really thinking too much about what comes with being an athlete. It's just like having fun. For me, I've just been running around in circles. But once I once I got to college, a lot of more layers added to being like a student athlete. I would say that one of it was coming to a predominantly white institution as a student of color, who also played a sport, specifically track. Like a lot of stigma behind student of color who run track, but just being in an environment, well, I came from a very diverse athletic, I guess, department in my high school and like just club sports. But when I came to Union, one of the challenges for me was just like the microaggressions that I would experience as a student of color athlete. And I didn't really understand what microaggressions were. Just because like I was a little naive, I was still learning, and like that's not something I had to deal with back home as a student athlete. But when I got here, there was a lot of remarks or like just comments about my hair or just like things that a lot of students were not aware that were kind of insensitive. So like the challenge for me was just knowing how to navigate that space and kind of voicing, like using my voice to like kind of educate people, but also not feeling that I needed to educate people because it's not my, it's like it's not my job to do that. Like we're in college, I feel like you should have an understanding of what's right and what's wrong. But I guess I was definitely challenged, just like learning to. I don't think I should have learned to adjust to it because it's not I shouldn't have to adjust to those type of situations. But it was really it was really hard going from something that I love to do and just it was never an issue to being in a part of a sport or a team where I felt like I was an outsider, an outcast. Yeah, that's the right word, an outcast, and it just kind of made me lose the love for the sport a little bit because I didn't feel a sense of belonging, which kind of affected how I felt about something that I only knew to love.
I'm sorry, that really sucks that happens here, and being at a school like this, I didn't know either what the school was like, and it was very different coming into it. Did you feel that over your years and now you're a senior that, not that you said you adjusted, but did you feel like you became more comfortable at all, or did you feel like there was a change at all, or no?
I would definitely say that at first, obviously I was uncomfortable, but I kind of learned to make it my world. Like I said, like I really did my big one at Union. I feel like I kind of like, not that I own the school, but like everyone like kind of has more respect towards me. So I over the years, like as a student athlete, I feel like I've gained my respect and didn't really have to experience like as much as like those type of microaggressions. But it definitely has gotten better, and I think it's because people educated themselves, but also the fact that I didn't really feed into it, and I kind of was able to help myself understand that I deserve my place here as a student athlete, and whatever people have to say is just because they're naive and like ignorant. So I kind of had to just learn to like not really feed into like people's like
People's opinions and what they were saying.
Yeah.
Just be yourself and keep going.
Yeah, because you can't stop everyone in this world. Like, you would drive yourself crazy if you try to just come for everyone. But definitely has become a lot better, but unfortunately that came at the cost of losing the love for the sport, if that makes sense.
It's not the same than what you originally started at.
Yeah, it's definitely not the same. I think I just, now, like, obviously I love running here and there, but I think it's more like, you know, it's just staying healthy and keeping, like, nice thighs and, like, you know, just having a toned body. But other than that, it's like, the competition is not, like, something I'm, like, looking forward to every week. It's something I kind of dread because, like, anxiety, but also just, kind of just finishing these 4 years out, and that's it.
I have a little follow-up to that. So would you say your love for track has kind of been hidden, say, for like dealing with school at all and kind of getting older with social life? Is that, like, you know, the aspect of college changed at all your love for track also? You know?
And if I'm getting your question right, I feel like when I first came into Union, track was a big identity, like, you know, that was it was really, like, I remember, this is kind of corny, but we did like you know, when you like the icebreakers when you're first like getting to know people, and it's like, what's one fun fact about you, or like what's a lie and a truth or something like that, you know? And I said I went to Junior Olympics, and like I regretted saying that because like that was like my whole identity here at Union for like a very long period of time. But I feel like over the years, like, losing the love for it,
grew in other ways.
Yeah, I grew in other ways, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but it just, that's what college is all about. You know, like, doing new things, finding yourself. But I would say that, hope I'm not screaming, but I would say that, I definitely like found different things. Like, I got involved with a lot of social life, community service, which I'm very passionate about, working at the writing center, like, just doing a lot more things that wasn't solely track, because like I kind of learned that that's not really what I want to do in the future, you know? It's just something that's helping me with time management and stuff like that, but
not the main
focus anymore. No.
Oh, that's great, thank you. So, you want me to repeat the question at all?
It was like, what was the biggest challenge since coming here?
Yeah, like, it was a moment of challenge or hidden struggle that stands out to you in your life. You navigating it, still navigating it, what'd you learn from it?
All right, so the biggest challenge I ever faced, I would say, is my first injury when I got here, because I had never gotten hurt, like, playing a sport where I couldn't actually play for a season or, like, had to miss games. Like, I had little things happen. But I feel like the reason it hurt me so much is because of, like, COVID as well, because everything was so limited when it comes to recruiting, opportunities, even just playing. You couldn't really play during your high school games. Yeah. So it was like all the work you put in to get to to where you're at, and then it's like now, everything was going well, and then it's just like going downhill 100%.
Yeah. Well, so sudden change.
Yeah. So that was like one of the biggest things for me to manage, because mentally I wasn't there. So my schoolwork started dropping, socially started dropping, everything. But I feel like that was also one of the best things that could have happened to me, because it allowed me to see sports in a different perspective. Like, when I had to sit on the sidelines all day, I wasn't just going to sit there and not be engaged. Like, it gave me an opportunity to really turn into a leader, like, from a vocal standpoint. I didn't have to actually play. I could have just helped my other teammates and helped everything run smoother. So I feel like that, and then my second injury just helped me better myself in that type of aspect.
Yeah, I mean, especially being on the team with you at the same time, I feel like I always remember seeing you on the sidelines and doing everything you can to be a part of the team, helping out the coaches, whatever you could. So it's a great aspect, and that's something, like you said, I feel like it's hard to become a leader, and someone who become a leader by not even playing is another big step that a lot of people can't even get to. And going through COVID, like, it would be our senior year, and my junior year I got hurt, so I really didn't get to play my junior year, and then coming out senior year, we only had like 6 games. And that's recruiting, you know. So it's kind of weird. It's an odd place, and everyone comes out of it differently. Everyone gets put in a different place at the same time. I mean, you were, I believe, at that point you were a freshman. So like, freshman year, kind of trying to get used to a new place is something that
Yeah.
is not great,
No,
but
it was crazy. I know, like, freshman year track and field, COVID. It was like we were running in circles with a mask. Like it was just such a weird time. Like my coach like reminds us of like different memories like that we had like during COVID. She's like, remember when we had to like all like isolate and stuff like that? I'm like, what? It was like such a traumatic experience that I don't even remember half of it. But it's scary. Like we literally had to be here on campus with mask, check in, like everything was mask related. Like we couldn't go into athletic trainers without like masks, like going through a whole protocol. Like it was kind of like it took away from like life. It was just it was just not the same anymore. And I think that's also a part where like I kind of lost the love for it too. It was draining. It was like it was draining. So going back to reality, I almost felt like, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think just a thought that I had, because when Robbie was talking, like I really like what you said about like it wasn't like your injury it wasn't negative. I feel like it was a positive thing, and I kind of and I admire that, because like not a lot of people can do that. Like people go through injuries as like negative. Like I can't see like the positive out of it. So like the fact that you were able to kind of look at it from a different standpoint, like that's growth.
Huge.
That's huge. That's definitely huge.
And it's crazy because it took me so long to realize that. Like I literally, when I went to that leadership conference, it was so much reflecting time. We were in meeting rooms for like 6 hours out of the day, talking to people who've gone through the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me a chance to really look back on everything, and I was able to process everything that I would just hide in the back of my head, because it wasn't like the forefront of what was going on, but in the background, that's what really was happening. So
it's amazing that I was able to do that for you, and you were able to understand, like reflect back on it. I mean, I feel like I've been through a lot of injuries and dealt with a lot. My last injury, I felt like it took me a while to understand my identity and understand who I was, but I feel like, not that I wanted to get hurt, but I definitely would rather be the person I am today than who knows what, so, but that's great. I'm really happy for that leadership, what was it, leadership conference?
Conference.
So that was great. Do you want to talk a little bit about the conference at all?
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
He had a time. Let me tell you, he had a time. Saw the videos.
It was definitely a good time. But so it was just like I got an email that I was nominated to go, so I just had to choose if I wanted to go or not.
Yeah.
And it was just like an opportunity that I couldn't pass up. Like for D3, they choose a specific region and it rotates every year. So luckily this year they chose ours, so I was able to go. And then when I got there, didn't really know anybody. There were a couple people from the Liberty League conference, but I still didn't know them.
Yeah.
So I just really had to meet people randomly. So my group, we were assigned groups like by color. My group was the blue group. There was a bunch of different athletes in that group, a bunch of athletic directors, different people like that. So I would just talk to people during our discussions, get closer to them, get their contact information, and then made some new friends, I guess. And then, awesome. But we would talk about a lot of deep topics like leadership skills, different forms of leadership, how to be a better leader, how to be more inclusive, different things like that. So it was like really a good learning experience to really dig deeper into how to become a better leader and what different things you have to really think about that you may take for granted, because every person's different. You can't treat them all the same.
That's true.
And people aren't going to react the same way. So that was really nice, but it was also just nice to meet that many people that are similar to me. Yeah. Because all these athletes are like leaders on their team, D1, D2, D3. Like one of my friends, he played Oregon, linebacker at Oregon, and he's one of my closest friends now. So
that's awesome.
And then everybody over there. So it was just like super close connections that were nice to have outside of like regular school.
Definitely always great. The next topic I want to get into is academic pressure and athletic performance. So do you feel like having the stress of academic weighs on you and all? How do you kind of juggle being an athlete and doing well in the classroom?
I don't know. For me, without athletics, I think I would be a mess academically. And I think a lot of athletes can talk about this. Like with like athletics is literally like you have to build your schedule around your track schedule or like your football schedule or softball schedule. So I feel like it kind of keeps me grounded. Like I remember I quit track a lot of times, but I quit track winter term. I think my sophomore year, just because I needed like a break.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a break, and it's a all year round sport, so like
Yeah, you don't really get
a break, honestly.
Yeah.
And at first I like beat myself up a lot about taking the break, but I needed it, and that was just reality. And I realized that I think I was my worst academically.
Really?
Like, even though I didn't fail, but I think it was definitely not the glory I was used to academically. Yeah. And I think a big part of it was because of track. Like, you have no choice but to make sure you get that homework done either before practice or after practice, because it's like, coach can't write a note to your to your teacher, oh sorry, she's at practice, or like your teacher's not gonna excuse you just because you're the number one athlete out. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you don't get that.
Yeah, like, and people don't realize like you're a student athlete. Mm-hmm. Like, you're a student first. So I would definitely say for me, it's not really a challenge, it's more of a blessing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I have a sport, even though, you know, kind of negatives about sports right now, but even though I had my ups and downs with track, I feel like it made me a better student overall.
So do you feel like kind of having not the pressure, but the having to time manage and organize everything that really benefited you? Like, you had to really be like, hey, I got this coming, then this. Like, you really had to plan out your days, which is, you know, sometimes the answer to some people, and some other people are like, they don't plan anything, which I don't agree with. I'm very structured. So maybe it's forcing you to have structure. Do you think is that like kind of what track does for you?
No, yeah, it definitely does that. Like, it's just crazy. Like, when I look at my like, just like you, I have structure. Like, I have to be able to see it. Like, I'm so crazy. I have a planner and then I have a digital planner. Like, I have to write it out twice. Like, that's how crazy it is for me. But it's usually what I do with like structure, or at least it's like I'll put like my little like track and field schedule, and then everything else will work around it. Yeah. So I would say that it really just has helped overall with structure. Like, there's no other way to it. Like,
no, that's great.
No, yeah.
That's great. That's how you function.
But yeah, and even though like some days I'm just like, damn, like I have to go to practice, but it's like practice gave me that energy that I needed to finish out that assignment like later at night. So yeah. So it's good. It's positive and negative, like you said. Yeah, it is, and people don't forget, like, when you're just a student, like, you kind of forget to just have like a break. So I feel like practice forces me to have a break throughout my days. So
yeah, you need to.
It gives me like that good old balance and structure, I would say.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say like the workload is manageable, but sometimes it could be overwhelming. But I feel like, especially early on, like football practice, all the meetings, everything, you only have like 2-3 hours to really do your work, because you gotta sleep, you gotta eat, all that stuff. So I feel like early on, playing football made it easier for me to like know how to get through my work and know how to efficiently do my work.
Like, kind of get a routine.
Yeah, because you really don't have that much time. But then I feel like in the off season, it's like you don't have as much stuff for football, so it's like you can push off your work more. So sometimes that's when you can have issues.
So would you like better being in season then?
Yeah,
like,
I would say so.
Like Glory's point being in. Yeah,
I would say so, because you really have no other option. But at the same time, it's like, even when that schoolwork is overwhelming, like playing, like just like what she said, it gives you that break. Yeah. So I enjoy going to practice, because sometimes I really am tired of school, so it just gives me that relief. I can do something I really like to do, be around people I like to be around. So I feel like it's a good balance, because if I was just here to do schoolwork, I really don't know if I would be enjoying it as much.
No, I get what you're saying.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought about, people don't realize like sports are very different, like when it comes to structure. Like, at least for football, it's like, quote me if I'm, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you have to like kind of not fight for a spot, but you have to prove yourself. So like, you missing practice will hurt you. But like with track athletes, something I realized, it's like I don't really have that much pressure on the track, because it's like it's an individual sport.
Oh yeah.
So like regardless of that, like I can be like, coach, today's not the day, like need a mental health day or something. And she's like, all right, like I get it, like you can just make up the workout. But for you all, it's like it's a team sport. You rely on each other. Like you need each other to build that team.
Exactly.
So I feel like it probably is a lot more pressure on you. Like, quote me if I'm wrong, but you know what I mean. Like I'm not really proud. I'm like, coach, like, I don't come to practice. No one's hurt. Like they might realize it, but it doesn't really hurt the team as a whole. So I
Yeah.
feel like if you're like the star athlete, like and you're missing practice, they need you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
they can't, just because you're like the best athlete, like they can't just give you the privilege of coming on the bus. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
exactly.
I just thought about that.
No, that's a great
That's-
point. Thank you
yeah,
for
that's
adding
a
that,
good
'cause
point.
I didn't even think about that. But it is such an individual sport, and not that your goals would be different, but how you prep for those goals can be different. Like, it allows you to take one of the days that you need to. Where in sports, it's like kind of like if you don't step up, or if you're not there that day, then your job might be taken. So it's a
Exactly.
very interesting aspect that I didn't even think about that at all. So that's great. Thank you. So the next topic I want to get into is so on recent podcasts I've heard commonly that athletes go through a stigma in the classroom from being an athlete, kind of having a target on your back. I was just wondering how you guys feel about that at all, if you have experience, if you've heard anything like that, or anything along those lines.
Yeah, I'll start. I really haven't had an issue with any professors like that, except for maybe one. But it's like, regardless of the stigma, I see myself as my own individual. So even if there's a negative stigma against football athletes, I'm still going to try to be the best student I can.
Yeah.
Even if it may not be I'm getting straight A's, I'm going to be a great person. I'm
Your
going to
best
try to,
self. Yeah.
I'm going to be my best self, and I'm going to let them know that I'm not somebody who's just trying to go into class, skip class, not pay attention. Like, I'm going to give you eye contact, write down my notes. I'm going to be a good student. So I'm always trying to, like, reverse the stigma anybody could have against me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a really